Welcome to our tutorial on understanding many-to-many relationships using Twidget, the no-code API platform. In this video, we'll break down what a many-to-many relationship is and how to manage it within Twidget. A many-to-many relationship occurs when multiple rows in table A are linked to multiple rows in table B. Each record in table A can have many corresponding records in table B and vice versa. In our example, table A is the students table, and table B is the classes table. We also have a third table called student classes, which stores the relationship between students and classes. Let's navigate to the students table. Here, we have many student entries, each entry containing a first name, a created at date, and an ID. Now, let's view the classes table. Similar to students, there are multiple class entries, each storing fields like a class name, created at date, and an ID. Next, let's see the student classes table. This table stores the relationship between students and classes. Each entry has a student ID and a class ID. You can have multiple entries with the same IDs, meaning there can be multiple class entries for the same student and multiple student entries for the same class. Now, let's navigate to the API. As you can see, we have created two endpoints /students and /classes, both requiring an ID path parameter respectively. Let's start with the classes endpoint. This endpoint has one input, which is the path parameter, 6 commands, and it returns an object as the output. The first command queries the classes table where the class ID path parameter matches the ID field to retrieve the class. The second command queries the student classes table where the path parameter matches the class ID field to retrieve all rows for that class. Each row should contain the same class but different student IDs. In the third command, we create a new empty list variable to store all of the students we will retrieve from the database in the subsequent commands. The next command is a list loop. This command loops through all of the student classes entries. Within the list loop, we then get data from the students table using the student class student ID field. This returns a single student object. We then add the student object into the students list variable using the list add command. We do this for all of the entries in the student classes list. The output variable returns an object with the fields class and students, using the results of the previous commands to populate each field. Let's now view the students endpoint. This endpoint is pretty much the same as the class's endpoint, but we're retrieving a single class and multiple students for that class. Let's now navigate to the API client requests we made to test these endpoints. We've selected the class's endpoint and passed through the computer science class ID as the value to the path variable. The results of the request show an object that contains the computer science class information and the students enrolled in the class. Let's check out the second API request we made. Very similar to the first. We've selected the student's endpoint and passed through the Jamie student ID as the value to the path variable. The results of the request show an object that contains Jamie's student information and the classes he has enrolled in. In summary, a many-to-many relationship allows multiple records in one table to be associated with multiple records in another table. By using our example with students and classes, we can efficiently manage and query these relationships within Twidget's no-code platform.